Hey everyone, it's me, Kirk Mastin from Mastin Labs, and today's episode on what makes this photo great is going to be all about the golden spiral and the rule of thirds. And I found some great images from the community this week to really highlight like kind of hidden gems, and I'll show you how composition really makes these images shine. So let's start with this image by Amanda Blodgett. I believe that she used Portrait 400 on this image. I'm not quite sure, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, it is a beautiful photo, beautifully lit. It's like a painting. It's about as perfect as it gets. I think that she used portraiture to do a little bit of skin retouch or skin touch up, you know, to get that kind of perfect skin. But outside of that, it's primarily just a beautiful photo, really well done, and it has just amazing composition. So in photography, most people know about the rule of thirds. So that's if you were to draw, you know, kind of almost like a tic-tac-toe grid. And when you do anything that falls on these rules of thirds, you know, kind of are more powerful in the photo. They're points of interest, basically. And as you could see in that grid I just drew, there was a point of interest here, here, at her elbow, and kind of above her back. But it doesn't really show more of a complex composition that's happening here that I think is even more powerful, and that is called the golden ratio or the Fibonacci spiral. It's math. The universe kind of runs on math for some reason, and we just like it, and it looks a little bit like this. This is what the golden ratio looks like. So this is very pleasing to the human eye, and if you were to look at this picture again with that in mind, you see that it follows it very, very nicely. So we come down here, kind of swoop through the baby, we hit this side of the screen, kind of circle around and come right back to her face, and here's the rest of the rule of thirds, you know, whatever. But we've got this nice spiral coming in. It takes us up her arm to the baby's expression, which is beautiful. Around the photo, there's this really nice flow around the photo, and then we land back on her expression. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. Whether intentionally or not, it fits the golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral perfectly, and it's a beautiful photo. Other things that make this photo really great: it has a limited color palette. It's really just kind of two primary colors. We've got, you know, brown skin and kind of golden clothing, and then neutrals, so like kind of a cream color. So the cream of the baby's shirt, this kind of off-white wall, and then the primary kind of brown and gold tones in this photo are mirrored by this basket in the back. We've got a really nice soft light coming in from this side. So I mean, if I could zoom in a little better on the screen, I would show you, but just looking in the baby's eye right here, that looks crazy. It looks like either a giant kind of like warehouse window, maybe this is a photographer's studio, or it could possibly be just a giant octobox or giant light source. The bigger your light source, the softer the light. The smaller the light source, the harder the light. The sun way up in the sky is a little pinprick of nuclear fire, and it's a very harsh light source. A giant soft window, big huge window, or big octobox or big softbox right next to your subject is a big light source, and hence you get this really nice soft light. And I think it's this soft light plus possibly a reflector off the back. She's pretty well, you know, she's got some really good fill light in the back here. You can even see detail in the back of her neck, even in her hair. Just perfectly lit. Really well done with the skin retouching, the tones. I mean, come on, it's a painting. It's really beautiful, and I just love that it fits the Fibonacci spiral. That's really hard to do. If I was to give any critique, maybe, and I don't know, it's perfect, but maybe I would have tried to separate this intersection here between the basket from the baby's head, this kind of like little poof thing. But it's so out of focus that it doesn't really matter. I'm just being really nitpicky about it. And then I possibly would crop the image a little bit shorter I don't like really tall verticals. I think squatter verticals look more powerful, but man, it's beautiful. So good. This is like Annie Leibovitz level of lighting. Good job, Amanda. All right, so this Fibonacci spiral, right? Let's talk about that for a second. It looks kind of like a nautilus shell. It's super pleasing. It's a little more complicated to get to than rule of thirds, but look, lo and behold, I think we have it again. So this image by Sophie K, great photographer in our community, and she's also a moderator. But I saw her post this series where she used, this is flash. This isn't even a softbox. This is with off-camera flash. Totally nailed it. It's beautiful. I don't know if she had it in a softbox. Maybe there's a softbox right out of frame up here. So pretend that this is like on a little stand. There's a softbox like coming in right here, giving this nice soft light with the flash, but gorgeous. Back to the Fibonacci spiral, the golden ratio. At first when I saw this image, I was wondering, does this fit the rule of thirds better? So if we were just to dissect this image, oops, let me do a little bit faster. Don't disappear on me, lines. Yeah, it does. I mean, we got a little bit going on here, nothing really going on there, nothing there. This is kind of inappropriate, nothing much happening there. So, I mean, rule of thirds kind of works, right? But I think the spiral works much better, and I think that's why there's so many reasons this photo works, but check this out. So if we start at the corner, we kind of bounce up and around, we hit her face, and I think you could also claim that we are sweeping right through the face above her on the way to her face. So we're kind of just making like a loop around. And I think there's something about the repetition there. It's just fantastic. It's almost like everything is happening twice. It's mirrored in this person behind her. You'll see that this person's arms are out. And the way that Sophie had this woman pose, her arms are out as well. Maybe not like so far out, but they're still out. And there's a really nice mirroring effect here between the two people in the photo. So that's why I like it. And then she used Delta 3200 from the Artist in Black and White pack. That's based off of a really amazing Ilford film for low light. You can see that really beautiful soft glowing skin and the nice grain, and it just works. It's so good. All right, let's move on to the next photo. We're still in black and white land here. So this is by community member Andres Schramm, who's been with us for a very long time. He's a fantastic photographer, just a great all-around person, educator, and he does a lot of black and white. I believe this was, whoa, flying through here. Okay, I believe this was with Pan F. This is on a movie set where he is doing still photography, and it really reminds me of the gunslinger Roland from The Dark Tower. It's just really kind of striking. Over on the side here, I wasn't quite sure what this was at first, but if you see the entire series of photos, you'll realize that this is a piano. And this guy here who looks like a cowboy is actually a piano player, a pianist, maybe at the turn of the century. But in this photo, he looks like the gunslinger from The Dark Tower or like a cowboy, I don't know. But we've got some elements here that make it really striking. So first of all, I believe we have that golden spiral thing happening again, but it's flipped this time. So we come down from the corner through the piano, kind of hit this, ricochet off, and we end up right where the guy's head is. And it's just really, really cool. I love that not only is this composition really pulling your eye down and around and all the way through it, considering it's a pretty empty composition. There's not much in it. There's just a piano and a man and a horizon. It's really successful in that way. What I also really like about it is this movement here of his cape, or his duster, I guess is what you'd call it if you're a cowboy. kind of flying off the back. You can feel the wind kind of coming across the plane. That's really nice. And then just compositionally, there's only three kind of main parts to this photo. There's your main subject, who is the darkest part of the photo. You've got your horizon, and you've got this really dark area here and this really light area. It's just like a three-part photo. It really works. And yeah, it looks amazing in black and white. I can't really see this working in, I mean, it would work in color, but black and white is just so striking. I love it. So great job, Andres. I think a lot of people can learn a lot from all of these photos. All right. So there's the spiral again. All right, let's move on. So we've got this image by Robert Slomsky. This was done with Ektar. Ektar can make monochromatic situations or like low color situations really high color because it's such a colorful film. And it is by far the most popular, look in the group right now is Ektar, which is in the Adventure Everyday pack. So by far and away. And it's been cool to see it in winter photos. What makes this photo work again, and I'm starting to see a pattern here, is a limited color palette. So we've got really two colors happening here. We've got, I don't know what you call this, like kind of a cream color off, up here, kind of in this white. It's kind of a champagne color. And then we've got this red. So lots of red. Even his little pocket square is red and the flowers are red. Just a lot of red going on here. And I like that kind of two color system because, especially in this case, your eye is drawn right here just through color. So in black and white, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have that pull right there. So color draws you in to here, and then you see, and then you're in this area, right? And then what happens? Immediately you see their expressions, them looking at each other. That's great. I think that's really powerful. Okay, so now the obvious thing, what else makes this photo great? Well, duh. It's all this snow falling. And normally you hold up an umbrella when it's raining, but it's like raining snow. I have no clue how Robert made this happen. I don't know. Like, is this just an accident? Did the snow just fall while they were shooting? Did he have an assistant like pull on a branch and make it fall? I don't know. Maybe you could tell me. But that motion makes this photo super interesting, and it really, between the color and that motion, it really stood out to me. Okay, so compositionally wise, I don't see the golden ratio really working in this photo. I don't see it happening. I do see just the traditional rule of thirds happening though. So we've got our boxes here. Boop. I'm trying to draw as straight as I can there, but we've got definitely a rule of thirds happening here. That's kind of a prominent point of interest is down in this corner. She's a little bit off center from this other point of interest, but I think it still works. What you could do actually to make this photo a little bit stronger, looking at this grid, and I could feel it before I even drew the grid on it. Oh, whoops, forget that line. Would be to crop it in like so, like right there. Like take out that, take out that. Once you do that, your rule of thirds move squarely in the middle of these people with your new cropping. That would make it, I think, a little bit better. But it's great. Again, I'll say this in every video. I hate really tall verticals, so please just chop this off. I don't want that. And also there's a little bit too much space over here. But other than that, man, that's a powerful photo. I love it. All right, let's move on. Oh, there's our rule of thirds, just in case you want to know what I'm talking about. Pretty much everyone who's really read about photography as a young photographer knows about that rule, but it's still important. Okay, so we've got this photo I just love. It came up in the group. It's not a wedding photo. It's not an engagement photo. It's not like a beautiful model by a window photo or anything like that. It's just a slice of life. And for me personally, this is some of my favorite kind of photography, and I wanted to show you. So this is by Julia Schlafer Sharma. This was shot with, I believe, C200 from the Lifestyle Everyday pack, which is like it's built for everyday moments like this. It's perfect. It's kind of nice and soft. It's just a great moment. It reminds me of a really famous Henry Cartier-Bresson photo where it's kind of was the invention of the idea of the decisive moment. So, you know, this kind of like changed photojournalism, but it's kind of the moment of peak action. And it's in the original photo, it's a man jumping off of a board over a puddle in this kind of industrial area. It's black and white. It's like turn of the century. And Henry Cartier-Bresson waited for that person to jump off the board. He was anticipating it. And it's that split second where your feet are off the ground and you're in the middle of motion. Like, look at this body language. That's exciting, and that's like really seeing. And so when I saw this photo, that's what I thought of immediately, was that Henry Cartier-Bresson photo. It doesn't follow, I mean, maybe it follows the golden ratio if you kind of bounced around this way, but he's a little bit too much in the middle. It doesn't really follow the rule of thirds necessarily. I mean, this dude is squarely in the middle. Maybe this window follows, maybe this window and the bottom of the window, you know, maybe this is the point of interest on that. That's where the composition is happening, but it works for me. It really does. If I was to, you know, my wish list, if there was one thing I would possibly wish for, it would be to see his face just a little bit more and to see a little bit more of this foot. But whatever, I don't very often see many photographers taking a chance with capturing candid peak moment action of like real stuff. So I love this photo. It's got really nice light coming in from this big window here. So remember how we talked about big light sources? It lights him up really nicely in the front. You can see this like nice strip of light in the front. There's not much light coming from the back, obviously, because I don't think there's any window back here, but it balances nicely. Without this window here, you would not be able to see him. He would be just a silhouette against this bright window. So it's a very well lit room. It's cool, and I like the photo. Great action. So good job. I love it. That's what makes that photo successful for me. All right, I am a sucker for portraits. So when Finbrit posted this photo edited with Fuji 400H, which is our kind of light and airy look from the Fuji original pack, I just knew it right away that this is like a great light and airy photo. The pink background is fantastic, and it really goes well with her skin tone, her hair, her eyes, her lips, her freckles, everything. So with this photo, I think it's really good because you're making a very, very strong connection with her eyes. So she's like looking straight at you. We've got a really nice eye line that sits right on the rule of thirds, like on these points of interest. And her head sits squarely in the middle of this kind of important zone. If I was to draw it again, draw it real quick, her hand is also on one of these points. So we've got her eye line, her hand, and then this nice flow down there, kind of mirrored by the flow of her hair. It's a really, really nice composition. It's really simple. I don't think it would be as good without the detail of her hand curling up on her face. And let me tell you something, as a portrait photographer, if you see my personal work, this is mostly what I do, are portraits. Let me tell you something, it is hard to get a really beautiful, simple portrait like this, and she nailed it, and she especially got the hand placement right. That's really hard. Hands can be so weird. They can be so weird. Like, what do you do with your hands? And this is perfect. Not only that, I believe it's a like senior high school or senior kind of photo, I think. And I'm thinking that maybe this is a class ring. If it is, it's a fantastic detail that was included by having her hand up like this. So, good job. As far as lighting goes, you know, I look in the catch lights. You can actually, if you zoom in close enough, you can actually kind of sneak a peek at the photographer's lighting situation. I don't know what's going on. I see kind of a large square of light, so I'm going to assume it's either a softbox or just a big like studio window. I think this could be a softbox though, with some fill light definitely, because there's not really deep shadows over here. But great photo, I love it. Fantastic job, you kept it simple, smart. All right, let's move on here. Whoops. Oh, that is our last one. Psych. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. It's really fun to do these critiques. I just love it, and I'm really proud of the photography that I see in the group all the time, and I'm gonna just keep surfacing these gems. So if you enjoy this video, please watch my other videos and like and subscribe and all that jazz.